across my most viewed shorts, Instagram reels, TikToks, I always end up getting some comment. I can't believe you would treat your bass like that. Oh, I would never slap my bass. Why would you do that? I can't stand slap bass. Slap bass. What about fingerstyle? People act like just because they happen to see a slap bass video that's like, I don't know why they get so triggered by it. I mean, it's not everybody, obviously, because and I don't even just play slap bass. I play. I've even been known to use a pick every now and then. Oh, scandalous. Played with a pick. I just don't understand why people get so triggered. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I can think of a few things. The first thing I thought of was the name, slap bass. That implies a fairly violent playing style. But the reality is you're not actually slapping it. And even if you were, like, it's a solid wood instrument with metal strings. Like, you're not gonna damage anything. You might scratch your pick guard, but that's what it's there for. I don't know. But you're not actually slapping it, right? It's not that aggressive. The way you can really think about it is instead of when you finger pick, right? You pull up on the string. Or sometimes if people play with their thumbs, they'll pluck down with the thumb. With a pick, I don't have one. Oh, wait, I might have one in my pocket. Even with a pick, you're still going up and down. I need the octave to get the full effect of that one. If you don't know what that is, that was Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. I would argue one of the greatest bass tones in all of music production history. Before I go any further, you're here for a reason, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you can keep seeing my epic videos, even if this one is a little bit more of a rant than normal. What I was trying to get at, though, before I got sidetracked by the octave pedal sledgehammer goodness, I was trying to say, when you're slapping, you're really just plucking the string. Just instead of going up and down like this way, you're going in. So the string is slapping the fretboard. I think that's the only part of slap, and maybe it might be a little harder on your frets than like normal playing, but probably not that bad, because at least when you're slapping, I could dial my compressor back a little bit. There we go. That's better. In the grand scheme of things, me doing this is no worse, no more aggressive than going just plucking really hard, right? Only in this case, you're intentionally getting the string to strike the fret, so you get you get a different tone, a more percussive. You hear more attack. That's because even I'll take here. Watch my finger pick motion. Go up. If I take that and angle my finger, so I'm going down, gets you kind of close to the slap bass tone, and the popping is just kind of the same thing. You're plucking away. That's all it is. It's the finger pick, but you're coming underneath the string and pulling it out. Like, it's all just finger picking. Right? Okay. So, okay, to sum up all of that rant, I would argue that if you're turned off if you're turned off by slap bass, you probably already clicked away from the video. But if you encounter somebody who is against slap bass, whether it's in YouTube comments, in real life, and their reasoning is that you're slapping the instrument, just explain to them you're still just using your fingers. You're not like slapping it with, you're not like, you're not slapping it like that, like a, you know, and you're not slapping it with like a spatula or something. Like you're just plucking the string at a different angle. That's all it is, to get a different tone. I think it's mostly just called slap because the sound comes from the string slapping the fretboard, not because you're actually slapping the instrument. It is not bad for your bass. Just settle that argument right here. I have a cheap Fender Squier jazz bass, modified 70s that I got when I was 12, and I've been slapping on it since day one, and it still works perfectly fine. The frets are probably worn out, but it still plays. I haven't noticed any issues. The second reason I can kind of think about that people might not like slap bass is that it tends to be the show-off bass style. And this I can actually kind of get behind. You know, you can probably go on YouTube and type in like extreme epic slap bass solo, and you'll get like these guys just going like, I don't know. I can't play like that. I really like the groove aspect of slap bass, like how the slap bass parts fit in the song. They fit the rhythm of the other parts. They fit the vibe of the track. Like, well, I just did that video on Marcus Miller, Never Too Much. Like, that is like the epitome of funk. That is just so good. That is such a good bass line. The other one I thought of was Forget Me Nots. Classic bass line. I just played it wrong. Thank You by Sly and the Family Stone, featuring Larry Graham. That was like the first recorded slap bass parts. And it's so simple. Even there, I added more notes than aren't in the track. I can't remember exactly how it goes. I'd have to listen to it, but it's very simple. It's very minimal, but it just grooves so hard. I do appreciate the crazy slap bass stuff, I'm not going to lie. Like even like Marcus Miller's Run for Cover. That's a little over the top. But it's still, like, it's so funky. That's such a great tune. But I could see how, you know, when you're seeing the guys online, I'm not going to name any specific names, who are just going absolutely crazy and they're adding in. Like that, I mean, that's just for show, and it's fun, it's exciting. But I could see why some people would see that and just be like, oh, I hate those slap bass players. You know, there's this great Les Claypool one. I think it's called One Better. Off of it's like, I think it's Les Claypool's Flying Frog Brigade. Let me look this up. I guess it's okay, it's not the Flying Frog Brigade, it's just Les Claypool. But anyway, it's called One Better. And it's like it's been a while. I mean, that's so melodic. Let me see if I can do it better. I'm starting to get there. Let me do One Better. So if you encounter somebody who says they don't like all the crazy extra nonsense slap ridiculousness, there, I just gave you a few good examples of some songs you can show them, and you probably can think of more. Put them in the comments. Let me see you get down there in the comments. So I covered the name. I covered how much over the top it is. And the third thing is, I think there's a little bit of just people don't like change. I think that might be it. Because in the whole scheme of music, the electric bass is rather new. You know, interestingly enough, I always thought Leo Fender invented the bass, but I wanted to double check before I put it in writing in this video. Put it in videoing. Put it in sound. Before I said it, I wanted to make sure it was correct. And there was a great article that says Leo Fender's, where was that? Where's that headline? Leo Fender's claim is baseless. That's a pun I would make, so I shouldn't make fun of it too hard. Apparently, the first... Oh, I've seen this. I didn't realize it came before the Fender bass. Toot mark. AudioVox Model 736 bass fiddle. Huh, very cool. So that was 1936. I think that was like a good 15, 20 years before Fender. Yeah, 1951. Exactly 15 years before. Huh. I've seen pictures of that AudioVox electric bass fiddle or whatever it was called. I've seen pictures of that before. I guess it just, in my brain, I guess Leo Fender's marketing was still resonating, 75 years later that he invented the first electric bass. Or maybe it wasn't even him that started that rumor. I don't know. It's just for some reason in my head it was like, oh, Leo Fender invented the electric bass. Just kidding. This other guy, Paul Tutmark. 1936, baby. Anyway, but in the grand scheme of music, the electric bass is still a relatively new instrument. Because 1936, that isn't even 100 years old yet. And you could argue that it wasn't... Leo Fender did make it, popular. I think where it really started to take off, the popularity of the electric bass was in, like, the old Motown records. Basically, let's say the electric bass is less than 100 years old. In the grand total scheme of music, that is not that old. Because if you think about, like, the violin, the cello, even the guitar, lutes, like percussion and like drums, and maybe I have some experience with this because I played a lot of marimba, and marimba is a very new instrument as well, about the same as the electric bass probably. And I think if you think about slap bass, that's even people started slapping the bass in a meaningful way. Let's 20 years after Fender's first bass, 35 years after the actual first bass, people started to slap Larry Graham, and then it just sort of snowballed from there. But that was only 50 years ago, which again, in the whole grand scheme of music, it's like a brand new way of playing the instrument. It's a brand new instrument with a brand new way of playing it. You could argue that it's just one of the ways you play it, and in 200 years from now, people are just going to be like, oh, yeah, it's just, here's fingerstyle, slap. I mean, it's almost getting to that point, but I think, when I was younger, it definitely didn't feel that way. It was like, oh, you can slap? Whoa, that's so crazy! Now it's just like, okay, that's just a way you play the bass. It happens to be my favorite way. I think it is my favorite way of playing the bass because I'm a drummer as well for even longer than I have been a bassist. It's basically like you're playing the drums. You're playing percussion here with the right hand, and then you just have a whole fretboard of notes to assign to the rhythms. Like I was saying, so back to my actual point here. Slap bass is a relatively new concept and idea. And if people have, they might not have been exposed to it. The reality is, there's very specific styles of music that use slap bass. Primarily for me, it's R&B funk side of stuff. That's the side of slap bass that I really dig. And, you know, some people might go their whole lives without ever really listening to that, you know? Let's say their favorite genre is bluegrass or country, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. You know, if they're just a casual human being, maybe they decide to pick up the bass to, like, jam along with their buddies a little bit, and then one day they see a slap bass video, some guy playing Marcus Miller they have never heard of this style of music. They're like, what is that? This is so dumb. You know, I can totally see it. It's not that, like, that's bad. I think it's just because it's such a new thing and it's such, like, a niche style that it can just be off-putting because people know what they know, they like what they like, and sometimes they just get off-put by other things, and that's okay. That is A-okay. We're all on this earth together. But I'm going to keep slapping no matter what the comments say. Because it's funky. If you want to learn how to play the bass better, how to slap, how to understand music, how to do things, go check out the rest of my YouTube channel. I got lots and lots of short lessons. I got lots of long lessons. Not lots. I have several long lessons. I'm working on it. They take a lot longer. So, does this count as a lesson video? I don't know. You can go to my website, maxhbass.com. Put in your email. You'll never miss an update. Okay, it is much hotter today than it was when I woke up. And I'm wearing the shirt that I was when I woke up because it was like 60 degrees out. And now I'm like dying of sweat. Literally drowning in my own sweat. So I'm just going to call the video off for the day. Peace. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, please. Thank you. Bye.